Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. So this is round 2 after recording this episode last week. Unfortunately, it didn't pick up my voice. It only picked up Andrew's voice. I have no idea why that was. I tested it all out, but yeah, sorry about that, Drew.
No problem, mate. I'll try and do this podcast with the same enthusiasm as last time then.
Thanks a lot, mate. Thanks a lot. And it's like 7 p.m. in New York now, right? So you've had a busy day.
Bedtime now.
Exactly.
Long day, lots of castings, and ready for food now in bed. So
I'm praying.
Let's do business. Huh?
Cool. I'm praying you're a bit tired and agitated, so it makes me sound, more sophisticated. Exactly. Need all the help I can get, mate. Yeah, it's just obviously we're going to talk about CrossFit and high intensity training and stuff. Hopefully we can revisit some of the stuff we talked about because we covered. It was a killer podcast. Don't mean to dwell on it, but I think that was a good one.
One of the better ones.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's just go into. Obviously, I've done that video the other week about CrossFit and high intensity training, and it got a lot of comments, a lot of interactions from people because ruffled some feathers because obviously there's a lot of people out there now who are big into CrossFit and that kind of training. But yeah, it was. I mean, like you said, I attacked them a bit, but it was just good fun. But yeah, we both have good things to say about it as well, right, Drew? Because you've sorry about this, mate. You're gonna have to regurgitate everything you said last time now.
Well, let's just go into the let's ask you a personal question. Like, what was the reason behind your video? Because a lot of people have said that it's been done before. It's nothing new. It wasn't original, and their thought was that you weren't educating them on it with any educational content.
Yeah, exactly.
So what were you just doing it for likes or?
Yeah, no. I think.
Behind it?
Yeah, I was actually trying to educate people as well, but yeah, it was more a case of just like doing something different, because like I want to entertain, but obviously I want to educate as well. But I think I just got carried away, and because I'm new to the video editing stuff, and it had to be all diced into one video, 1 minute, sorry. I think I just got carried away, just slating them and swinging around, taking the mick out of kip pull-ups and stuff. You know what I mean? I just got carried away. But
it was only a bit of fun, though, right? I think
only a bit of fun in games.
It kind of proves that. Like, this isn't, disrespect to CrossFit, but sometimes, some of these fitness identities are kind of like a religion, right? So, kind of like a cult. You kind of pissed on their religion, basically, by going after them, and then people came after you. Now, for me, like, I see stuff on the internet that pisses me off every day, but I don't comment on those videos. It's going to make you a very bitter person if you're constantly commenting on videos that offend you.
Sure.
And that's what's happened there, So I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that. They could have kind of seen it, laughed it off, and known and been secure that CrossFit was the best type of training for them.
Absolutely.
And just moved on. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because actually, it's after you gave me the advice. You said you don't go on your phone now in the mornings, or generally you don't go on your phone when you get up. You have like a certain routine you stick to, and you try not to go on your phone because it can. Like, for example, you could be a devout CrossFit fan. You could first thing you see, you open. Imagine that first thing in the morning, you go on your Instagram. First thing you see is me swinging around, taking a mick out of. You know what I mean? Like an orangutan taking a mick out of.
Set you up for a bad day, right? Those long arms and long cotton bud legs, mate.
Yeah, exactly, mate. That's it. Taking the mick out of kip pull-ups, and then obviously if you're if you're Catholic about or should I say you're a religious Catholic? Sorry about that.
Don't go after religions, mate. You're gonna have more people on your back now.
I'm getting nowhere here, mate. No, yeah, like if you're religious about something like that, you see someone taking the mick out of it, the first thing you saw is something that's, like riled you up the wrong way because you're taking it personal, right? So it's down to the individual, as you said. Like, we can look through stuff like that, and it might get to us a little bit, certain things we see on the feed, but the second you get involved and start commenting, you're going to, boom, stress levels go through the roof.
When you're arguing with someone online, you have plenty of time to argue, right? Go back and forth. So it's never going to be resolved anyway. You can have a good discussion about it like we are now, and we'll give our pluses and our negatives on CrossFit as well.
Definitely.
And on high-intensity training, as we do.
100%.
We're not going to slate it 100%. We'll just give our views and see what you guys think as well,
That's right. So talking about our views, you've had a little dabble in CrossFit yourself. You were doing it quite regular for a while back in the UK when you were living there. And what was your experience with CrossFit?
I had a decent experience with it, mate, but I think I was just doing it at the wrong time. I think I was just at the point I was doing it twice a week, I'd imagine.
Yep.
I was also rugby training twice a week, I was playing rugby on the weekends. I was still doing bodybuilding and strength training. So
Mm.
for me, it was just a silly time to do it.
Yeah, of course.
But when I did it, I felt pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you about it, but there were times where I felt horrendous at the end of the session. Where I'm not going to bag on bad coaches, but one coach was just, his sessions were too long and too extreme, and I was coming out with migraines at the end of the session because I know that I'm going to put my all in. That's the
Mm.
problem. Like, I'm going to go 110%, and that was a silly thing from my behalf. Like, if I was going to go into it again, like, I would learn how to do it well and learn how to do it efficiently and treat it as a sport,
Yeah,
rather than
exactly.
kind of chasing the ache and overplaying the intensity all the time. And that's where I was going wrong with it. I
Exactly.
was also, at the time, I was doing paleo diet as well, which is probably, it can be a good diet for some people, but I probably needed to increase my carbohydrate intake, especially with all the activity I was doing around that as well. I
Yeah.
was probably putting my body in a worse state than what I needed to be. So
Absolutely. On top of the hours you're working as well, obviously in the gym and stuff, isn't it?
yeah,
But yeah, I was just gonna brush over my experience with CrossFit. Yeah, because I dabbled in it for a bit as well, probably for about 2 months, and that was a good few years back now. And I was doing like, what I noticed really is I noticed I lost a little bit of muscle, which at the time was like catastrophic for me because I was so hung up on how I looked and stuff. Whereas nowadays it's like I'm not too, I'm not obsessed per se about how I look. Obviously I do care about how I look, but as we've mentioned many a times before, it's more about how we feel and health now, and the physique is a byproduct. But with CrossFit, I was doing it. I lost a bit of muscle. I'm like yourself, mate. I'm really, really competitive as well. Obviously, we both come from like a sporting background or whatever, so we both got that instilled into us. So I was competing, going hell for leather, and I remember saying to you, I think I done this one. I started kind of losing interest a bit. I was finding it a bit like it was enjoyable because I was pushing myself and stuff, but I was still finding it a bit like, I don't know, just the sheer amount of reps I was doing on certain things. I wasn't finding it. I found I adapted in a weird way. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but what I found is with the last WOD, I don't know, wherever it was, workout of the day, I told you what it was, didn't I? It was like 30 double unders.
oh yeah, wasn't it the one you put in your video with the broomstick?
Yeah, with a broomstick. Yeah, that's why I remembered. It was
Right.
skipping 30 double unders, right? So obviously jump twice over the rope 30 times. That's hard enough on its own.
Yeah.
Then into 30 power snatches. So
Yeah.
as we said on the last episode now, which didn't actually take place. So I don't know why I keep bringing it up. But yeah,
Let it go, mate.
let it go. No, but we were saying about about like, for example, a power snatch. It's an Olympic lift, right? It's an advanced Olympic lift.
Technique.
That's it. How long would it take you, Drew, to master that? You know what I mean?
Mastered it. Depending on the
Exactly.
person, obviously, but to do it for intensity and over time is just ridiculous, really, and that's kind of where the issue comes in, right?
Yeah, and as you
Uh,
said, like, just sorry to interrupt you, said about treating it like a sport. Now, yourself and me and you, we've obviously been active, always been fit and healthy. Like obviously we've always played sports, and then we've been training in the gym for X amount of time as well for years, and we can jump into something like that being more prepared. But obviously, if you were playing two sports essentially, right? Because you were playing rugby league, and you were doing CrossFit on top of that. But for a beginner, right? I mean, to go straight into doing what we've just been talking about, it's not always ideal. But what's your thoughts on that as a novice level? Because a lot of people listening now are, at that level.
Oh, man, I think people approaching it with the wrong mentality, and like they're ignoring their body signals and pushing to fatigue, right? Like you would have been doing with the snatches you were doing.
Yep.
And not focusing on form and like quality of movement and adaptation. So the likelihood of you getting injured is huge. Like, you long term, you're definitely going to get injured at some point. Like you say, you should treat it with that sporting mentality, but the issue is that people are probably they're looking at guys in the CrossFit games, and they sat on their couch, sat on their asses, probably not doing any exercise, and the first thing they then go into is CrossFit. And that's the wrong place to start. That's down way down the other end of their training and their training approach.
For sure. You were saying as well last time round, mate. You were saying about people in New York doing like the high intensity stuff, like CrossFit and F45 and whatnot. And these kind of people you were saying are like they want to be doing the opposite, right? They want to be learning how to stretch more, meditate, or whatever it is, right?
Of course, yes.
Give me an example, because we said,
right?
Yeah, go on.
No, well, it is that extreme, isn't it? It's like these people who are that mentality where they're doing CrossFit or they're doing F45 or they're doing high intensity training. They want to kind of meet in the middle with those people who are doing yoga and meditation. So kind of from the guys who are doing yoga and meditation, they want to maybe do some more, not high intensity training, but some more training with purpose. And those guys who are doing more high intensity training, who are working throughout the day, highly stressful jobs, not eating very well, not sleeping very well, they then need to look at these guys who are doing yoga, meditation, and then take little bits of what they're doing and add that to their daily routine.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
In an ideal world, yeah, for sure. Like, and that's what we're all striving for, right? And that's the driver behind this, as I said, because Andrew and I have found a lot more balance in our lives over the last few years since just educating ourselves. And I want to shout out the Mind Pump guys again, Mind Pump Media, if anyone's listening. That's the podcast that changed the game for Andrew and I. I mean, I didn't even, and I got to thank Andrew as well, because I didn't even know what a podcast was until Andrew told me about it, right? And now, thanks to you, buddy, I'm running my own show. So, I mean, it's just applying yourself and learning goes a long way, which is why you should just pay attention to what we're saying now about the balance and stuff. And like, if you're someone listening to this who has maybe an office-based job or a sedentary job, or where you're sat in front of a desk or whatever, and just putting that aside, a stressful life in general. If your job is you got a highly stressful job and you're working long hours and you're not prioritizing your health, so you're not actually getting enough sleep. You want to try and prioritize actually the simple things. So if you're thinking, maybe you're listening to this and you actually do that kind of training now, like F45, CrossFit, or insanity style training, and you're getting good results and you're enjoying it. That's great. But as Andrew was saying, then long term, later down the line, I mean, I want to be looking after myself, lifting weights or whatever until the day I die, right? So doing something which is pounding the body, which essentially is what it's doing, although you're enjoying it, you're beating yourself up, because like Andrew was saying before, like people are they're getting hammered, right? They go into the gyms there in New York, the high intensity places, they're coming out in a wheelchair. You know what I mean?
They're scraping them off the floor, mopping their body parts off the floor, mate, and scooping them out the door,
That's exactly it. They just get a bucket out, puke in the bucket, boot them out the door. See you next time. Get a sledgehammer, whack, strap it up, get out. See you.
Off you go. See you next Tuesday.
See you Tuesday. Okay. So we went over the top a bit there, but you can see what we mean. If you've got a high stress job and stuff like Andrew was saying, it's
another stressor to the body. Training is a stressor to the body.
Exactly.
So
explain that though, because the body responds, right? So it's a good stress, right? If you're doing it right hand, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Yeah. So the body will adapt in a way which is favourable. Like if you're lifting weights, it'll build muscle because of the insult you're taking it through in the gym, right? And so I was just going to say then about I can't remember what I was saying then, but that's all right. Were you going to say something then? Help me out here.
I'm not helping out at all. Come on. You can just cut and edit from the previous podcast and put in some.
Oh yeah. I don't even need you now. I'll just talk to myself.
A little bit more intelligent, man.
Exactly.
That'd be nice.
Exactly. No,
what
but
I will
that's
say though is, when you're doing these high intensity training sessions, right, and you're doing excess cardio and your calories are too low, your energy throughout the day is going to be pretty poor, right? So you got to think about it's kind of a catch-22 situation that you're not going to be moving as much throughout the day. So if you go to one of these sessions in the morning, whether it be CrossFit or something else, or you even do your own high intensity session in the gym, and you blast yourself as hard as you can to the point where you can't move, that means then your day is going to be less constructive, right? And you're not going to move as much. So your NEAT, basically your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is not going to work in conjunction with what you're doing throughout the day. That makes sense. So ultimately, you're not going to move as much, so you may skip taking the stairs. You may take the elevator or the lift instead. You may not go out for lunch for a walk. You may just sit down and order lunch from somewhere else because you're exhausted from your session, which means you're not going to move as much throughout the day. So you may, in the end, be burning less calories, and it may be harder to drop body fat that way.
Oh,
So
mate,
it's not
that's
always the be all and end all. HIIT, not always the be all and end all when it comes to fat burning. It's that simple.
That's exactly right. And HIIT, it is what it says it is. It's high intensity training, right? So, you know, everything comes at a price, and that is a very good point you made there. If you think about the accumulative effect, right, when it comes to like consistency and people getting results. Now, the people I get results with clients and even people online, it's the people who are consistent with the simple things I put in place for them. The really, really, really simple things, like Andrew was just mentioning then, like moving more. So, for example, if they got sedentary jobs, do an extra 20-minute walk a day. Or like Andrew was saying then, you can even take it back a step from there. Don't get the lifting work. You know, for example, I had someone who works in a high-story building, top floor, take the stairs, or at least take the stairs or take the stairs down, or wherever it is, so you're increasing, like Andrew said then, you're increasing your movement. And it's the simple things like that which overall, let's look at the space of a week, are going to burn more calories. Now, the thing is with high-intensity training and the science behind it, it is great, and it's great to use as a tool, right? So high-intensity interval training, for example, I'll do, and I'll use with clients as well. I'll do, like leading up to my last show. Once again, learned this from the Mind Pump guys. I would never have known this before, because for shows in the past and for shoots, I've done like high-intensity training for like 6 to 8 weeks solid. And what's happened is I've run myself into the ground. And then obviously my body's adapted in a way which is probably not ideal. Without going too much into that though, last time for my show I'd done just like a 3-week bout of high intensity training. So I'll give you an example. All I've done is like 2 or 3 sessions of cycling, and all I was doing is I was going as hard as I possibly can, like my life depended on it, for 30 seconds, and then I would rest as long as I wanted, and I repeat that 6 times. Now on paper I think that is the most effective type of interval training really, where you do 6 sets of 30 seconds all out, whether it's sprinting on the treadmill, a cycle on the bike, rowing, rest as long as you want. And now that's the thing, see, people, they don't rest long enough, and you know, it's not even high intensity training a lot of the time what people are doing. So it's great to use the tool if you do it properly.
Because they're not pushing themselves to that max limit, right?
Exactly.
When you're giving yourself enough time to recover in between those bouts of exercise, then it is high intensity, right? Because you're pushing yourself to your absolute limits. So
that's right.
And how do you feel about like obviously I said earlier about like when I was going into these sessions before CrossFit, or even like training, strength training or bodybuilding that I used to do, like I was always chasing the ache. And you know, let's get it straight now, like aching isn't always an indicator of having a good session in the gym.
No, almost the opposite.
Yeah, well, when a muscle's
Sometimes.
tender, right, it generally means you cause damage to stimulate some growth, right? But you know, it may be when it becomes painful to touch, like for days after, that means you may have taken things too far, right? You may have overtrained, and you've done yourself more harm than good, right? So ultimately, you want to, with your routine, you might want to dial things back a little if that's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do that with CrossFit. You're not going to be able to dial things back.
No.
You're always going to have to, because your body's adapting. You're always going to have to keep pushing harder. Pushing harder and pushing harder, and where are you going to end up then?
That's it. How do you continue to progress? Because something's got to give at some point, right? And most of the time, I wanted to. What's this? Come back to me now. Yeah, I'm just going to say about what kind of pushed me to do like that video for some reason, and just like I'm honest with people. You know, when people ask my opinion on things like CrossFit, F45, and high intensity style training. You know, I've experienced, and you've probably had this as well, lots of people who've been injured and they've came to me, they've gone, that's it. Instead of hiring a trainer straight away, which is sometimes a better option if you can hire a good trainer like myself or Andrew. If you can hire a good trainer, rather than going into something like that, if you're starting from square one, because they've come to me with injuries, like, you know, like one person done her knee in, so it was like a meniscus cartilage in the knee or something. I can't remember what it was. I had a few guys and women actually who've done their shoulders, so they actually injured their shoulders. Their lower back's a really common one as well, actually, because that's more of like it's a repetitive kind of accumulative thing where they've been doing like we said, those WODs and doing the CrossFit workouts or wherever it is, F45, lots of repetitions, and obviously they've got imbalancements, which, like, you know, muscular imbalancements which haven't been addressed, and then they're just basically cementing in those patterns, and then before you know it, they're doing like, I don't know, squats, and they're doing like, I don't know, let's just say a minute of squats, and boom, something goes, because their form is nowhere near optimal, and it's only a matter of time then before they get injured. So that for me was like, I just wanted to make people aware that it's, you know, it's really not ideal in terms of injury and long-term effects on the body, really, but there are good things to be said about it.
Also, on coming in with that, also you probably work with people who have poor metabolisms from doing it as well, because they're always pushing that intensity, so and lowering their calories or eating in a deficit when they're increasing intensity over time, and that's quote unquote going to damage their metabolism. So then you have to tell that person, whether it be woman or man or child, that they're going to have to back off on their training and ease off for maybe even a year, just to build their metabolism back up and build their calories back up. Now, how do you tell someone with that mentality and that psychology when it comes to training that, hey, you're going to have to cut down to maybe 1 to 2 strength training sessions a week, and not go all out every day?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a kick in the nuts for them, mate, and that's a hard one to muster.
It is, yeah, for sure. But the thing is, like I said earlier, if they started the way you just mentioned then, straight off the bat, you know, where they just, okay, build the strength up, because strength training, folks, I mean, and I wanted to shout out the CrossFit gym here as well in Maroubra, that our mate runs. It's a really, really good one. It's one of the best ones in Sydney, for sure. They do a lot of phasing, where they'll phase like strength, you know, which is a good way to do it. But strength training is, I get the best results with clients who do strength training, because it puts a lot of stress on the body. So as we were saying, it's, you know, it's a stress on the body. It really demands a lot out of the nervous system, because you're lifting heavy weights and you're building the connective tissue. So you know, one of the main benefits from doing strength training is it's actually going to strengthen the connective tissue, which you know, like the ligaments, tendons, cartilage, all that kind of stuff, which attach onto the muscle, which then will benefit you more when you move on to bodybuilding style training, then when you're doing more like the 8 to 12 rep range. But Andrew was saying earlier about aching and about busting your balls and actually chasing the pain, which is what I've done for years and years and years also. And if you are, you know, aching after your session and you feel a bit tender, that's great. But having the mentality of, just like I used to, for example, when I used to train legs, when I used to do like split routine training, absolutely annihilate my legs, crawl out of the gym, and then I couldn't walk for the best part of a week. For example, when I went to New York to visit Andrew, I hadn't done legs for like 2 weeks because it was just after my competition. Andrew put me through one of his standard leg sessions, which for him wasn't too bad, but for me, wiped the floor with me. Couldn't walk for like 6-7 days, and I was like, oh, that's great, you know, I've done what I need to do. But in reality, the body is going to prioritize repairing your muscles and recovery over muscle growth. So over time, it's going to impede, and it's going to slow down the muscle building process in comparison to doing the whole body and just doing it in a clever way. We're doing it with good technique, and you may be hitting the body parts more often, you know. So
that's it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you kind of mentioned coaches. Obviously, you got our friend Jacob in Sydney. My cousin has a great boxer in Bristol as well. But you know, there's good and bad coaches in every profession. Like, we see them regularly when it comes to personal training as well, and just a normal gym. So we're not just bagging on CrossFit having bad coaches. You know, in CrossFit, if you are a coach, like, you want to try and promote like quality movement before intensity, and you may want to offer like different kind of classes on the side that are more one-to-one and more personal, so people can kind of develop their technique and become a better CrossFitter or a better sports person, right? You want to encourage people to pace and be aware their breathing, like improve strength, and also improve their aerobic capacity of, you know, if that in relation to like doing these metcons and WODs and things like that, and to pace themselves. Like, I think that's the main thing, because if you're not pacing yourself and you're not focusing on form and technique, then you can get injured, and that's going to put you out long term anyway. So yeah,
absolutely, that's it. See, and that's it. You know, people get they'll get sucked into the high intensity stuff because guess what? You're going to get results, right? So
feels good as well. It makes you feel good, mate.
Right,
it's
that's
the release afterwards, right?
Definitely. There's something to be said. Yeah, definitely. There's definitely something to be said about that as well, what it does to you mentally. Most likely, the chances are you're going to get more of a mental high and a kick from suffering. It's just life in general, isn't it? Let's think about it. I know it's a bit far-fetched, but it seems to me the people who are most successful, the real game changers in this world, are the ones who have suffered the most, one way or another. So if you're going into a training session, you're pushing yourself, suffering, then afterwards it's almost like your body goes into survival mode sometimes because it's that hard. So like you finish the session, it's like I'm alive. You know what I'm saying?
That's similar to the mentality, right? When you're like doing physique shows, right? Like you used to have that mentality. The more I suffer, the harder I've worked.
Exactly.
The more I deserve to be where I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the same mentality that people go into like a CrossFit session with, right? I'm gonna
that's right.
That's my balls. I'm gonna kill myself today.
Yeah, exactly.
Break myself off the floor, kick myself out the door, boot myself out the back.
That's it, exactly. That's it. I'm gonna put myself, make sure I leave here in a sling, so I've like completely dislocated my shoulder doing kip pull-ups. I want to really do a number on myself. No, but it just had a moment then. I just remembered about something you said then. What were you just saying then? It's something you brushed over in a podcast previously, but I've lost it now. It was to do with that mentality. Anyway, let's forget about that. I'm not on my game today. But yeah.
Let's talk about the plus points then, right?
Yeah,
CrossFit,
okay.
right?
One more thing though. I want to slate one more thing.
Go on,
just one more quick thing about just metabolism, right? Because you were saying about you said it quickly then, but I just want to elaborate a bit on cardio and high intensity training, what it does to the metabolism. Now, you're manually burning calories, so if you do a CrossFit class, for example, or an F45, then guess what? You're going to burn more calories than what Andrew and I would burn ourselves doing a session in the gym, or what we would put our clients through. You're you're guaranteed automatically, yes, you're going to burn more calories at the time in that session, right? Because you're going hell for leather, right? But when you look at lifting weights and doing it properly, build a muscle with good form, mobility, doing the mobility stuff prior to lifting, so you're activating the right muscles and whatnot, your metabolism is elevated for up to 3 days afterwards. So your metabolism is going to be roaring for a good 10 to 12 hours after, as your body is trying to, repair your muscle tissue and stuff and whatnot. So all in all, manually, when you build a muscle, just to keep muscle on your body, you have to burn more calories. So you're going to burn much more calories and elevate your metabolism more, build a long-term healthy metabolism if you're focusing on doing, say for example, low-intensity cardio like walking, using HIIT as a tool, lifting weights properly, as opposed to continuously doing high-intensity training. Your metabolism, if anything, will slow down and not burn calories as efficiently when you're at rest. So just bear that in mind. Sorry, mate. You going to say that?
No, it's fine. That goes down to encouraging like long-term progression as well. What you're saying there, right?
Yes, thank you. Long-term
and a strong,
progression.
healthy metabolism over time. And again, we're always caught up in the fitness industry into a quick fix. So when you go from sitting on the couch or doing another modality of training, you go into CrossFit. No doubt, you probably get yourself losing a lot of body fat straight away. But how long will that last?
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to get stuck somewhere.
You're going to get stuck somewhere, and you've experienced that, right? How many times have you seen that with clients?
Definitely. Yeah. With clients and with myself as well. So
exactly, and that's it. And Andrew and I are doing this all the time. See, going through the repair process. So almost like someone will come to me. They've done. I hate to keep saying it, but they've done some sort of high intensity training, right?
positives now.
I know we're going to go with some positives after this, folks. Just bear with us. Right. So what's it called? So they'll come to me and like they're basically, because they've been in a calorie deficit, so they've been eating a particular way, not necessarily paleo diet, because I wanted to mention the paleo diet actually, as far as diets go, and I hate using that word. Andrew and I just, obviously we try and get people to mold it into a lifestyle, and that's the way it should be. But if you're going to use the word diet and look at different ones, keto, paleo, slim and world, whatever, the paleo diet definitely has got the most positives, I would say, because it's based on healthy whole food diet, way of eating plenty of veg, eating good quality animal proteins, some fruit and whatnot, cutting out gluten and dairy, which does work wonders for a lot of people, because pro-inflammatory foods over time can lead to seriously bad health conditions, not to mention weight gain, which is why we're facing like an obesity epidemic. So went off and went a little bit there, but yeah, I just wanted to just brush through the paleo diet and explain to you what it is, because Andrew mentioned it earlier on. And yeah, so that's that. So people have come to Andrew and I sometimes as clients, and they have been cutting their calories or yo-yo dieting, so to speak, where they're rebounding, and it's hard to sustain a low-calorie diet, and it's not ideal for the metabolism because you're not feeding it enough. So you're not giving it an excuse to be elevated, because you're not putting, it doesn't make any sense, does it, for your metabolism to speed up and become more healthy when you're not putting enough nutrients into it. But then it's a case of rebuilding people then, so getting people to have more calories, do some strength training, and slow down with that stuff, as Andrew was saying earlier. So that's a very common thing for Andrew and I as trainers, is building people's metabolism back up by doing strength training and eating more calories. So
that can bring me into a good point of a positive of CrossFit, because you mentioned yo-yo diet in there, and yo-yo dieting is prevalent in females, very prevalent in females, because there's a stigma around women that they need to be slim and they need to be in shape, right? So what CrossFit has done as a sport has definitely increased the amount of females that participate in weightlifting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Increased participation massively, right, for women who squat, deadlift, and do whatever else they do in CrossFit right now. And the physiques are phenomenal. You can't take that away from them.
100%. That's a great point. Going into the positives now is that's one of the main ones, is the fact that it's got women over the barrier of, actually, if I lift heavy weights, I am going to end up like Arnie. Now the chance would be a fine thing. Yeah, exactly. I want to
We're all
tone.
trying to end up like Arnie. We've been trying about 50 years and don't get anywhere near it. So
it don't happen. Exactly. Good luck with that. But no, that's it. It's like so. Yeah, just
that's the biggest opposition as a trainer, right? When you're dealing with a female client and they come to you on a consultation or first session or whatever, and that's definitely majority of the time that's what they say.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so refreshing when you have a woman come to you and say, I want to get strong and I want to lift weights.
Oh, I know. It's
just
great.
makes your job so much easier. You don't have to have that long conversation with them.
Oh, exactly. So that's an amazing thing to be taken out of CrossFit. Getting people lifting weights, full stop is a great thing, but especially women. It's broadened the horizon with that. But also, there's loads of good things to say about it. Like we were saying before, if you enjoy it, great, right? Because that's one of the most important things when it comes to training or anything you're doing in life. You've got to take some enjoyment from it. So if you enjoy it, great. Also, if it gets you, it's great. If it gets you moving, CrossFit F45, if you want to do that, you enjoy it. It's going to get you moving, going to get you burning calories. It's going to improve your state of health, right? At least even if it is short term, it's going to improve your situation. If you're gone from being a couch potato, and eating the wrong foods, to maybe on a paleo diet, doing the high intensity stuff, you're going to get good results, but that's going to be great short term, but not always optimal long term. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, so that's simple as, man. It is kind of revolutionized the way people train across the world, right? Just giving them different anomalies, and it's shown that you too can do methods of training that you only see in elite sports. You can now come to a CrossFit gym and you can do these exercises, right?
Definitely,
you see in the lifting arena, or you see in elite sports.
That's right.
And that's transferred now over to just a normal global gym, right? So
that's great.
Where you're seeing all these movements now. You're not just seeing machine weights and people on treadmills and cross trainers. You're now seeing these people doing deadlifts, getting in the squat rack, doing lunges, doing clean snatches. So it's great to see in a positive light, as long as it's not causing them to do it incorrectly and get injured and get hurt over it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So it's finding what modality works for you, and it's just like in terms of what Andrew and I recommend to people and stuff, because sometimes we'll give them, I don't know, stuff to do in their own time, or recommendations, even if it's something like yoga or meditation or whatever it is. But like never do I ever recommend to people to go and do high intensity training. It's just not. It's not going to benefit. It's going to be, if anything, counterproductive on what we're actually trying to achieve.
Right?
Yeah.
Not as a beginner.
Not as a beginner. No. Exactly.
You said use it as a tool, as you said earlier about using it as a tool, high intensity training every so often. Like you're an experienced and advanced trainer, right? So
that's it.
It's a good idea for someone who's a beginner. They may be better off just going for a walk.
For sure, yeah. Absolutely. And look at the book you recommended to me, Wired to Eat. What is it? The 4 pillars of health, isn't it? Like food, sleep, movement, and social connections. So social connections, when it comes to going to these group classes or CrossFit or F40 or wherever it is, you get a group of people, you're interacting with people, you're building social connections, which is vital for overall health, longevity, for everything really. So that is a great plus positive side to be taken out of it. It does build communities, which is exceptionally great, I think.
But that can also be a bad thing as well in terms of group settings, whether it's in a normal gym or a CrossFit gym, is that obviously it encourages, I can't even think of the word now, my brain's shutting down.
That's all right, you're ready for bed. It encourages social competition. Yeah. But
that can then force people not to pace themselves and force people to do exercises with shitty form.
Yes, exactly.
So that's kind of a negative of that group setting. Plus, when you've coached group settings in the past, you may have noticed that you haven't been able to focus on individual persons like technique or anything like that as much as you would like to have, especially when their technique is poor, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of a negative. Yes, it encourages that group atmosphere. It's great to get people moving and keep people into exercise, but we've also got to look at the negative sides of any group setting, whether it's a normal gym or CrossFit. Sometimes it can encourage bad technique, and sometimes that coach isn't giving them that individual attention that they need.
Exactly. And you were saying, because you've had your own experience, right? I know we're probably like dangerously competitive, right, Andrew and I, because of sports and whatnot, but a lot of people are really competitive, and that's one of the main motivators for them to go in and doing this kind of training, right? But you were saying yourself, I remember you said in the last episode that you would compete against the guy next to you, for example, right? So you're very competitive, and you would bust your balls, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Of course, mate, and my technique wasn't nailed down.
Yeah, there we are. And you've been a trainer for X amount of time. So.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But Olympic lifting is a different modality altogether, right? It's easy for me to go in the gym and lift weights correctly, squat, deadlifts. When it comes to like other Olympic lifts like snatches, cleans, things like that, and I'm doing them for 30 to 40 reps, my technique isn't spot on, and I'm trying to beat the guy next to me. That's a big issue. And you got to look at these guys who are in CrossFit games like they are genetic freaks.
Yes, exactly. Hard workers, genetic freaks, and they've just got the full package, haven't they, really? Because they've got the strength, the power, they've got the endurance. I mean, you have to work on that, right? Because normally you're genetically gifted in, like, for example, me and you, we're more like sprinters, right? Genetically, we're more kind of like anaerobic. So for me, I've done like half marathons and stuff like that, and I had to really bust my balls to like be able to do, because I'm very competitive once again. So I think my fastest one was under 90 minutes, my half marathon, but I'm not built for that. So these CrossFit athletes, like, I mean, I just wanted to shout them out, man. Like, and especially my mate who Mike Catteris is his name. He's got his own CrossFit gym back home. He put a long comment on the thing I put on Facebook, the video, and I thought at first, oh crap, I hope I haven't hit him on a personal level, but I messaged him and it's all good. He was just obviously he had some of his members questioning him, look at what this guy said, is that true? And he's just basically give his opinion, and to be fair, he made some really valid points actually. But I was just going to say, him, for example, people like him, mate, he's an ex-rugby player, but he's ridiculous, mate. I mean, like the shape on him, the package he has, like power, endurance. But look at the CrossFit Games and stuff on Netflix, man. I was watching it. I was like you said, some of the women, man. The women are just like insane. They're so lean, but they have like a decent amount of mass as well. Maybe at that level, though, like I think at that level for an average woman to look at, it's not necessarily an aspiring shape sometimes for the women, because I think they look great to me, but I think for a woman, because they're like the elite level, they've got quite a lot of mass, right? But they look great to me. But I think with the guys wouldn't say, yeah, exactly. That's it.
Everyone sees things differently. So for some women, it may be something they want to achieve. Other women, no. So that's fine. Like, go what you want to look like.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. You're an individual person. You're not going to look the same as I'm not going to look the same as you. You're not going to look the same as me. So
exactly.
Or the next stand next to you. So just work on your own physique and your own body.
That's exactly it. And that's why Andrew and I always say to try and be in tune with your health. Like, try and make healthier choices most of the time. I know we'll make it sound easy. It's 10 times harder than we say it is, obviously, to get you going. But it's really easy in terms of being consistent with making healthier choices most of the time. It's not easy for the average Joe, but to get into the good habits, you can get into them just like we've picked up all these bad habits over time. You know, Andrew and I everyone has bad habits, but we've built up good habits when it comes to, you know, food and sleep and stuff, which are the most important pieces, right? So, yeah, but just to go on, mate. No, go on.
What's your thoughts? They have great advertising saying, with the fittest on earth. What's your thoughts on that?
Fittest on earth? Well, we'll see, because I think CrossFit will be in the Olympics soon. I really think. What do you think on that?
Yeah, possibly, man.
I think so, mate. I don't see why not. So I think that then we'll see. I think the fittest on earth. But
it's difficult to say. They're the fittest on earth at CrossFit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's difficult to say if you took each of these guys individually out of CrossFit and put them into maybe a swimming event or gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly.
Would they be able to compete with these guys
for sure.
at that big level at gymnastics?
Exactly.
That's no offense to the guys in CrossFit. They, like we said, I'd love to be on the level they are in terms of their skill level and how fit they are, but them to claim to be the fittest on earth is probably a step too far. But for advertising purposes and to get people attracted to the sport and people watching and people attending CrossFit boxes, it's pretty smart.
Fantastic, really smart. Definitely, I think it goes on how do you define fit, but it's like, you know, because like you said, if you get into a pool and you know, there's all these different aspects in there, but it depends how you define fit. But like if you look at, I can see, you know, marketing is a great marketing statement if you like, but also I can see how they can actually, because they're all-rounders, right? They're lifting weights, they're doing long-distance running, they're combining a lot of things, compacting it, which is what CrossFit is, right? So, but that is a rich statement to see if, like, fittest in the world.
So you got on the track and field, like decathlon and things like that.
Exactly, mate.
So, you know, so it's...
that's it. But really hats off to them, man, honestly, to those CrossFit athletes, man. I swear, I do admire them, because, like, it is blood, sweat, and tears, and it takes...
some of those workouts, mate, I don't know who organises it, but they're in the CrossFit Games. They are brutal workouts. I'm sure they're looking to kill someone.
They're premeditated. Like, they are really going to town on people there. They're not playing games.
Destroy them if you're sorry for them.
I know. It's almost like, how can they top it? You know what I mean? It's like, how can we continue this?
Can we get a death this year? Or?
Exactly, that's it. That's probably the only issue. I know that's probably the only issue with the Olympics. I think they've got the money and they've got everything else they need to jump into it, because that you got to look at it from a business model as well. It's awesome. I mean, come on, look how clever that is. Combining something like the paleo diet, which is bloody healthy, like I said anyway, for most people, and then, you know, it's a great business model. So I got to give that to them as well. That's another plus point, right? You can still add that to the list.
There you go. We're getting up there.
We're getting there slowly, but I think we'll have to summarise now, right, mate? We're just gonna, unless there's anything you wanted to mention quickly before
don't do CrossFit.
Don't do CrossFit. Don't do F45. Exactly.
If you can see yourself doing it long term and it's going to give you the right results, then I'm all for it, and it's going to get people active and people healthy and people moving, then why not try it out? But for us, like as personal trainers and experienced guys, you know, we see like long term benefits of other modalities of training and eating. So we're going to support that way. You know, we'll see the positives and we'll push people in the right direction when it comes to training if they want to try this out. But there are easier and better ways, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And there's a few things I'd like to say. What I would like to say in regards to doing that kind of training is like, it's very easy. It's very easy to overlook this, and it's hard for anyone, right? Because we're basically we live on short-term pleasures. That's how we function as humans, right? It's a survival thing. Always looking for that short-term fix and for, you know, these pleasures daily. But if you look at the long-term bigger picture when you're doing it, that's all I would say is, yes, okay, you might be listening to this now and you're doing that kind of training. You've got lean, you've got good results. But in terms of like how you look and bone density, mobility, keeping your body in good tact for later down the line, and actually keeping your body looking good later down the line, you're much better off really trying to find balance. So if you enjoy doing that kind of training, maybe you could do that once or twice a week, but maybe find time to do stuff like mobility, yoga, that kind of stuff, because most of the time people who do this, as Andrew said before, who do this kind of training are the people that actually need the opposite. So I can't, therefore I must, right? That's something I always tell myself now, because what I struggle with is relaxing. So meditation, I must. I find it really hard to do. I can't, therefore I must, right? So if you're thinking now, oh, I don't know about yoga, I'm not sure about meditation, or, you know, I'm not sure about, you know, maybe coming off electrics before bed because you're checking emails or whatever, coming off your electronics like an hour or two before bed, these simple tools to help you relax, get enough sleep, are going to be really, really important, firstly for performance, secondly for how you look, and then thirdly later down the line, you know, for overall health and longevity. So just remember, I can't, therefore I must. If you're doing high intensity stuff, the chances are most of the time you may want to balance it out by doing the other stuff as well. So
yeah. And just phase it into your training. Maybe just do it for 4 to 6 weeks, then move to another modality such as strength or hypertrophy.
Exactly. Great
Simple,
stuff.
and then come back to it another 12 weeks down the line.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so using it as a tool, like anything in life, really. Yeah, use it as a tool. For example, just go into like habits. I'm addicted to coffee, right? So what about you, Drew?
Same, mate. I had that month off. I've done it before. It felt great. Gone back into it, and now I'm addicted again. It's crazy, man. It just
crazy.
controls you.
Controls you, yeah, exactly. And it doesn't sound like people are probably listening thinking, coffee, come on guys, are you serious? But it is a stimulant, right? So it's just like a drug. It's like a mild drug, which that is my short. So I have 2 coffees a day, and that's a staple part of my day, and I rely on those two coffees every single day, or maybe not on the weekend as much, but on a working day I rely on those things. So that's like a bad habit that's formed. It's not necessarily a bad habit, but what I was trying to get to is using it as a tool. So what I want to do, what I keep saying I'm going to do, and I've been saying it for years, is like for like 3 weeks 3 weeks coffee, 3 weeks without. It's the same goes for anything. Strength training, 3 or 4 weeks, we want to something else. You know, you can use everything as a tool, right? So,
but again, you get addicted to that feeling, right? You probably get addicted to the feeling you have after you have a coffee. You know, people get addicted to the feeling they have after they do a high intensity session, because it is a great.
Definitely, mate. We're pleasure-seeking machines. That's what we are, right? Pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're searching for. Exactly. But it's, yeah, like you said then, it's just that little rush of dopamine you get, or wherever it is, endorphins, and you're just chasing that fix. Not always a bad thing, but it's just being mindful, right? So,
that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, and on that note, my Build Your Best Body training program, you can find it on my Instagram, actually, if you click the link there. But yeah, just go onto my website as well. It's Martin Silva, martin-silva.co.uk. Go to the online fitness section, and you'll find my 9-week training program. You'll find my 9-week training program there, and it's based on lifting weights properly, basically, and you get insane results. But yeah, go check Andrew out as well on Instagram at Mr. Bond Fitness. Thanks for chiming in for the second time, mate, and it looks like this one's recorded, buddy, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, man. Thank you, man. Enjoy
awesome,
that.
mate. Thanks a lot, mate. I'll speak to you soon, buddy.
No worries.
Oh, sorry,
Bye-bye.
guys and girls, go and give me a rating over on iTunes. 5 stars, please, and a good rating. Good review. Be a massive help. Thank you. Signing out.
Bye-bye.